Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a look at a truly significant global event, the passing of Pope Francis.
Yeah, it happened on Easter Monday, April 21st, 2025. He was 88.
It's huge news. We've gathered reports from CNN and the BBC.
Right. And our goal here is really to pull out the key details for you.
Exactly. What happened, and what are the important things unfolding right now?
It's definitely a moment with ripples going way beyond just the Catholic Church.
For sure. These initial reports give us a good baseline, right? The immediate impact, the procedures kicking in.
Yeah, those well-established procedures.
Yeah.
They clicked into gear pretty fast.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The announcement itself, the reactions. The Vatican announced his death at, 7:35 a.m. local time?
That's it. And it came from Cardinal Kevin Farrell.
Right, acting as the Camerlengo.
Exactly. He confirmed the Pope died at his home, the Casa Santa Marta.
Which is interesting in itself that he lived there instead of the papal apartments.
It is, and quite something that his last public appearance was literally the day before.
Easter Sunday in St. Peter's Basilica. Amazing, really.
It really is. And that role, the Camerlengo, Cardinal Farrell, is absolutely central now.
He's basically the acting head of the Vatican for this period.
Pretty much. We'll probably talk more about his duties, but yeah, the speed of the announcement shows how defined these protocols are.
And his Easter appearance, even needing help with the blessing. It just showed his commitment, didn't it? Despite being obviously unwell.
Absolutely. Dedication right to the end.
And the global reaction, it was instant. And quite varied.
Yeah, condolences flooding in from leaders everywhere.
Like U.S. President Donald Trump. CNN noted their relationship was, rocky.
Right, disagreements on things like immigration.
But he still issued a statement. It kind of makes you think about the influence, even with those disagreements.
It really does.
Yeah.
Shows the Pope's reach, how he connected or sometimes clashed with figures across the political spectrum.
Totally. Then you have someone like Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni.
She spoke of a real friendship, didn't she? Mentioned his advice.
Yeah. That close tie highlights the church's ongoing influence, maybe especially in Europe.
And the potential for, moral guidance on that bigger stage.
And then there's Argentina's president, Javier Milei, Pope Francis's home country.
He offered condolences too, called it an honor to have known him.
Which is interesting because, as CNN pointed out, they'd clashed before over economics.
Right. But now he's sort of downplaying those differences.
That's a shift, isn't it? Shows the respect the office itself commands.
Definitely suggests the weight of the papacy, regardless of personal ideologies.
Even King Charles in Britain shared his thoughts, emphasized compassion, unity.
And the BBC mentioned he and Queen Camilla had actually visited Francis very recently.
Less than 2 weeks before he died.
Yeah, highlights that ongoing diplomatic importance of the Vatican.
So beyond the official statements, there was this real outpouring from ordinary people.
You saw that immediately in St. Peter's Square.
Both reports mentioned mourners gathering, praying, some crying.
And the sound of the church bells tolling across Rome.
Mm.
Must have been powerful.
Yeah. And it wasn't just Rome. Tributes from Melbourne, Paris, Buenos Aires.
It really shows that personal connection people felt with him, didn't it? Across cultures.
His message seemed to resonate widely.
That outreach, the compassion, it clearly struck a chord.
So thinking about that connection, it makes looking at his final months, his health struggles, even more poignant.
Definitely. Both CNN and the BBC really emphasized that big health crisis earlier in 2025.
Hospitalized for 5 weeks. That's a long time.
Yeah, battling double pneumonia. And CNN reported doctors even considered stopping treatment at one point.
Wow. That really shows how critical it was.
It does. Makes his recovery and carrying on with duties seem even more, resilient.
He only got discharged last month. The Vatican had said his health was improving.
And he kept up engagements right up to Easter Sunday. Met with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance.
Yeah. And although an aide read the Easter blessing, the Urbi et Orbi,
He still managed to ride the Pope-mobile.
waving, blessing babies, but you could see the frailty.
And Vance's comment afterwards saying he was obviously very ill.
That kind of confirmed what people were seeing.
Yeah, it highlighted that tension, didn't it? Between his duty and his physical limits.
Let's talk a bit more about the Camerlengo role. Cardinal Farrell.
Okay.
Mhm.
He's the acting head now.
And the BBC laid out his immediate tasks. Very specific traditional stuff.
First up is officially confirming the death, right? With a doctor. Death certificate.
And interestingly, no autopsy. Both sources mentioned that.
Yeah, that's tradition. Respect for the body, church practice. It sets everything else in motion legally.
Then he has to seal the Pope's residence, Casa Santa Marta in this case.
Right, and destroy the Pope's ring.
The fisherman's ring.
That's the one. And the lead seal for documents.
To prevent any misuse in this interim period.
Exactly. It's symbolic, too. Marks the end of this specific papacy, that unique authority.
Makes sense. And then he sets the mourning schedule.
Yeah, working with a few other cardinals.
Yeah.
Usually 9 days of mourning, the Novendials.
And that's likely to start, what, 4 to 6 days after his death?
Seems to be the expectation. That schedule includes the funeral, the burial details.
And they also decide when his body is moved to St. Peter's Basilica for people to pay respects.
Right. The Vatican spokesperson hinted that could be as early as Wednesday.
That public viewing is a huge part of it for the faithful, isn't it?
It is. A chance for widespread veneration, part of the grieving process for the Church.
Now, the funeral itself sounds like it will reflect Pope Francis's style.
His preference for simplicity, yeah. Both reports mention that.
He asked for something more understated. No raised catafalque.
Correct. People will view his body inside the coffin with the lid off.
Yeah, it definitely fits the image he projected, doesn't it? Humility, closeness.
It's quite a departure from some of the grander traditions we've seen.
And another big departure, the burial location.
Huge. Not in the Vatican crypt with most recent popes.
He chose the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome.
Yeah, near an icon of the Madonna he particularly loved. The BBC notes he's the first pope in over a century buried outside the Vatican.
Wow. And just a simple wooden casket, too, not the traditional 3 nesting ones.
Right. No cypress, lead, and oak layers. Just wood.
That choice, St. Mary Major, near that icon, it says something personal about his spirituality.
Very much so. Deliberate choices about how he wanted to be remembered. His connection to that basilica was clearly deep. Humility over grandeur again.
So his passing triggers the next major event.
Oh.
Electing a successor. The conclave.
Right. That whole complex, fascinating process. Centuries of rites involved.
Cardinals gather from all over the world.
And the timing. Usually a 15-day mourning period first. But Benedict XVI changed the rules.
Oh, right. He allowed an earlier start if the cardinals agreed.
Yeah. The BBC thinks it'll probably be 15 to 20 days after Francis's death this time.
You wonder if they'll feel pressure to move quickly or stick closer to the traditional time frame.
That's always a balance, isn't it? Mourning versus needing a new leader promptly. Benedict's change added some pragmatism.
And who votes? The College of Cardinals.
Yep. There are 252 cardinals total right now.
But only those under 80 can vote, right?
Correct. That brings the number of electors down to 135.
And in this period between popes, the sede vacant?
The vacancy, yeah. The college governs, but with limited power.
Heads of Vatican departments usually resign until the new pope decides.
Typically, yes. It underlines that the Pope's authority is unique and personal.
Then the conclave itself, Sistine Chapel, intense secrecy.
Absolutely cut off. No phones, no internet, no news. Total isolation.
Designed to allow free deliberation, no outside pressure.
Exactly. And they need that 2/3 plus 1 majority.
Multiple votes, twice a day after day one.
Until they reach consensus.
And the whole world watches that chimney.
For the smoke signals, black for no pope, white for yes. It's incredibly dramatic.
It's truly unique tradition.
And then white smoke means
Habemus Papam. A senior cardinal announces we have a pope from the balcony.
and reveals the new pope's chosen name.
Historically, they usually come from within the College of Cardinals.
Overwhelmingly so. Though technically, any baptized Catholic man is eligible.
But unlikely. Francis himself was groundbreaking, wasn't he? First Latin American, first Jesuit.
Absolutely. A real departure. And while maybe Europe or Italy has historical precedents,
Francis appointed cardinals from all over the world. Lots of non-Europeans.
that could definitely influence things this time around. His appointments might signal a continued shift.
So what does that potential shift mean, do you think, for the Church's focus globally?
Well, his elections show the cardinals are open to looking beyond Europe. His appointments reinforce that. It suggests the potential candidates, and maybe the Church's priorities, could continue to diversify globally.
Let's take a moment then just to reflect on Pope Francis's legacy, his overall impact.
Elected back in 2013, that first Latin American pontiff.
He really became known quickly as a voice for the poor, migrants, the environment.
Very strong themes throughout his papacy.
CNN highlighted his reform efforts too, challenging elitism.
Trying for a more compassionate approach, right? Towards divorced Catholics, gay Catholics, making the Church feel more welcoming.
He tackled financial corruption, the sexual abuse crisis, brought in laws for bishop accountability.
Increased roles for women in the Vatican, authorized blessings for same-sex couples.
Built bridges with the Muslim world, tried to play peacemaker in conflicts.
There was a real focus on social justice, inclusivity, dialogue. His legacy is definitely marked by that push.
But it wasn't smooth sailing. Both reports mention the pushback.
Oh, definitely. Significant resistance from conservative wings of the church.
While, on the other hand, some progressives felt he didn't go far enough.
Right. Issues like married priests, church teaching on homosexuality, women's roles in ministry. Those debates continued.
And sadly, the abuse scandal remained a huge shadow, despite his efforts.
A persistent tragedy for the church.
CNN also noted how his stance against nationalist populism drew criticism from some political conservatives.
Yeah, his papacy often acted as a counterweight there, which wasn't universally popular.
It just shows the immense challenge leading such a huge, diverse institution.
Absolutely. Navigating those conflicting views, those deep traditions. It meant he got both praise and criticism constantly. Reflects the ongoing debates within Catholicism.
So his passing is truly a major moment for the church, for the world.
It kicks off this period of mourning, then that complex process to elect a successor.
And his legacy, advocating for the marginalized, pushing reforms, that's bound to be central in the discussions leading up to the conclave.
No doubt, it'll shape the conversation about what comes next.
And thinking about those unique funeral plans, the possibility of another non-European pope.
It raises big questions, doesn't it? What kind of leader are the cardinals looking for now?
Will it be someone to continue Francis's path? Or someone to steer in a different direction?
We don't know yet. As the sources show, this is really just the beginning of a significant new chapter for the Catholic Church.